Okay, so get this, right? I found this YouTube script
Yeah.
for a Thanksgiving message, and it's from this creator named, like, Cha Cha.
Okay.
And I was like, Cha Cha, what kind of content is this? But then I started reading the script, and I don't know, it's kind of deep, like how she brings together Thanksgiving, gratitude, and
Right.
faith.
Yeah, it is interesting how she uses that Thanksgiving, like that very specific theme
Yeah,
to kind of springboard into like these bigger ideas.
right.
Especially, it seems like it's aimed at a Christian audience just based on what's in the script.
Okay, so based on this script, right? We just have the script.
Yeah.
But what can we like piece together about who Cha-Cha is? What's her
Mm.
persona, her vibe?
She gives off this really warm and inviting feeling,
Hmm.
someone who really values community and, of course, faith. But the way she does it, I think she
Yeah.
understands how important connection is, especially when
Yeah.
you're talking about like religion, right?
Mm.
Which can be kind of a sensitive topic. It's
Mhm.
not just about the message itself. It's about making people feel like they belong.
Totally, yeah. Like that friend you'd have over for pumpkin spice lattes in the
Yeah.
fall, right? And she does mention like personal stories, which makes me think
Yeah.
that's how she kind of connects with her viewers.
Right. I think it's really smart because when you bring in your own stories,
Yeah.
it makes you, the speaker, so much more relatable,
Yeah.
more authentic,
Yeah.
instead of this like distant authority figure. You're like, hey, I've been there too.
So she starts with this Thanksgiving theme, but then it goes deeper, like beyond just the food and family.
Hmm.
She talks about gratitude for like the little things, the everyday stuff.
Yeah.
What's the strategy there?
So I think she's playing with like these different layers of gratitude.
Okay.
You have the obvious stuff, right? Like, oh, I'm grateful for this amazing meal or a new
Yeah.
phone. But she's subtly guiding her audience towards something like deeper.
Yeah.
It's more about being grateful for relationships or personal growth,
Right.
even just for being alive.
Yeah.
And it's clever because it makes it less about like the commercial side of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, totally. Do you think maybe she's trying to like shift their whole idea of abundance?
Oh, that's a good
Like
point.
it's not just about having a lot of stuff, it's about recognizing
Yes,
all these
exactly.
blessings, big and small.
It's like she's reframing this scarcity mindset,
Yeah.
you know. By focusing on all the good, it leads to more
Yeah.
contentment, more appreciation.
And this leads us right into her main point, right?
Yeah.
Gratitude as a way of life, not just a once a year thing. And she even talks about being grateful during hard times.
Yes.
That's what really stood out to me.
Well, and that's where she makes this like perfect connection between gratitude and faith.
Okay.
She talks about God's faithfulness, love, and grace, especially when things are tough.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying, life's going to throw you curveballs, but even then,
Yeah.
you have reason to be grateful because God is always there.
It is a powerful message, for sure. But is she saying we should just, like, ignore the bad stuff? Just slap a gratitude sticker over it and pretend it's not there?
Not at all. I think what she's doing is drawing on this deeper idea, this idea of grace.
Mm,
It's about acknowledging that even when we're messed up,
right.
God's love is still there.
Yeah.
It's constant. It's undeserved.
Mm.
So even when things are really hard, there's still that undercurrent of gratitude for that love,
Yeah.
that grace.
So it's not about denying the tough stuff, but about finding that gratitude for a love that's bigger than our circumstances.
It's way more nuanced than just like,
Yeah.
think positive and everything will be fine.
And I imagine this message is like particularly powerful for her audience, for people who, faith is like a central part of their lives.
Right. For them, God's love and grace, it's like a source of comfort,
Right.
especially when times are tough.
So it adds another layer to the whole count your blessings thing. It's not just about the good things. It's about like where those good things come from,
Yes.
even when things aren't so good.
And it's fascinating how she like structures the whole message.
Yeah.
She starts with Thanksgiving, a time when people are already thinking about like
Sure.
being thankful. So she's got that baseline.
Mm.
Then she weaves in these like deeper layers. She connects gratitude to personal experiences,
Yeah.
to spiritual growth, and ultimately to a deeper relationship with God.
It's like she's building this staircase of gratitude,
I like that.
each step leading to a deeper understanding.
Exactly.
But she doesn't stop at personal reflection, right? At the end, there's this call to action.
You're right.
It's not just a message, it's like
Yeah.
the start of something bigger.
She tells them to subscribe, to make gratitude a daily practice
Right.
and to find strength in their faith. She's not just like talking at them. She's building a community.
So the more they practice gratitude, the more they connect with her message. And the more they want to be a part of this community.
Yeah, it's like strategic and everything. She's thinking beyond just this one Thanksgiving message, you know?
Yeah.
It's about building a brand,
Yeah.
a movement around these shared values of gratitude and faith.
And that's just from the script. Imagine the visuals, the music
Oh, I bet.
in the actual video.
Right. It'd be fascinating to break down how she uses those elements
Yeah.
to really hit home that message.
Okay, so we've got a sense of who Cha-Cha is, and we've seen how she connects Thanksgiving, gratitude, and faith. But let's dive deeper into like what gratitude actually does.
Okay.
Like the psychological and spiritual benefits.
I love that because it's not just like a warm, fuzzy feeling, you know?
Right.
Gratitude is deeply connected to our well-being, to our purpose.
So what's actually happening like in our brains and bodies when we practice gratitude?
Well, there's a ton of research on this.
Okay.
Positive psychology has shown that gratitude can actually improve your mental and physical health.
Really?
Like it can reduce stress, help you sleep better. Wow.
Even boost your immune system.
So just by focusing on what we're grateful for,
Uh-huh.
we can actually improve our well-being.
It's pretty amazing, right?
But how does that work? Is it like a placebo effect?
No, it's much deeper than that. Studies show that when we're grateful,
Okay.
our brains release dopamine and serotonin. Those are neurochemicals that make us feel good.
Oh, so it's like our brains are wired to reward us
Exactly.
for being grateful.
Yeah.
But I've also heard gratitude is good for our relationships.
Right. Because when we express gratitude,
Yeah.
it strengthens those bonds,
Mm.
creates a more positive environment. It's like you express gratitude, you get gratitude back,
Yeah.
and the relationship gets stronger.
It's like when someone's genuinely grateful towards us, we feel appreciated.
Yes,
And that makes us want to be more grateful back.
exactly. And that spreads outwards. It goes beyond just our close friends and family.
Oh, interesting.
It can even impact our communities, society as a whole. Okay, so we talked about the psychological benefits, but what about the spiritual side? Is it more than just feeling good?
That's where it gets really interesting. For many people, gratitude is a part of their faith.
Okay.
You know, a way to acknowledge and appreciate what they've received from like a higher power.
Right.
And that can lead to a sense of humility, a sense of wonder.
Mm.
And those are qualities that are often associated with spiritual growth.
So gratitude becomes like a bridge
Yeah.
between our human experience and something bigger.
Exactly. It's recognizing that we're not the only ones responsible for our happiness.
Right.
There's this sense of connection to a larger web of life. Gratitude is a way to honor that connection.
So it's not just about feeling good. It's a whole shift in how we see the world,
Yes.
a lens of appreciation and interconnectedness. But how does this tie back to Cha-Cha's Thanksgiving message?
Well, she's tapping into those desires for connection, for meaning, for purpose. By starting with Thanksgiving, she's meeting her audience right where they are.
It's like she's giving them what they expect, a Thanksgiving message.
Yeah.
But then it becomes this gateway to something deeper.
More meaningful.
Right. Like a richer way of life.
Exactly. It's like she's giving them a taste of something
Yeah.
that speaks to those deep longings of the human heart.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this central part of her message, the role of faith.
It's clearly a big theme for her, but it doesn't feel like preachy or anything. How does she strike that balance?
I think it's her tone,
Yeah.
you know? She presents faith as a source of strength and inspiration,
Right.
not a set of rules.
Yeah.
She shares her own experiences and beliefs, and it feels authentic.
Yeah.
And then she invites her viewers to connect with their own faith.
So it's more like, hey, this is what works for me.
Exactly.
Take what resonates with you.
Yeah.
If not, that's cool too.
But let's explore this together
Exactly.
and see where it leads.
And that openness, that inclusivity, it's got to be a big part of her appeal.
Oh, absolutely.
She's not trying to like force her beliefs on anyone.
No?
It's more about sharing her journey and inviting others to join her.
Right. And that makes the message even stronger.
Yeah.
It's not coming from a place of authority,
Well,
but from shared experience, from genuine human connection.
and that's a powerful combination.
Right.
It allows her message to go beyond like religion and culture.
Yes.
It speaks to that universal desire for connection, for meaning,
Mm-hmm.
for something bigger than ourselves. This has been such a great conversation.
Okay.
We went from a YouTube script to like the depths of gratitude,
Right.
faith, and the human experience.
It's amazing what you can find in, like,
I know.
simplest things.
But there's one more thing I want to touch on before we move to the next part.
Okay.
Storytelling. How she uses it in her message.
Oh, yeah, the personal anecdotes. That's a key part of how she communicates.
Right. It's not just information. It's about creating a connection.
Exactly. It's like she's inviting us into her living room, sharing stories over coffee, making us feel like part of the conversation.
Like, hey, I'm just a regular person.
Right.
Here's what I've learned. Maybe it'll help you too.
And that humility is so important. It disarms you, makes her message more approachable. It's like, come on in, let's explore this together.
Smart strategy. She understands that people connect with someone who feels real.
Absolutely.
Someone who's willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Share their struggles and triumphs.
And that's why it works. It's not just information.
Right.
It's a shared experience, a community.
Yeah.
A feeling of being seen and understood.
Okay, so we've unpacked the script, gotten to know Cha-Cha a little, and seen how she brings together Thanksgiving, gratitude, and faith.
We have.
We've covered a lot. But let's take a little break and let everything sink in.
That was good.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into Cha-Cha's world. We'll be exploring her message of resilience and hope
Can't wait.
in the face of, all the craziness life throws at us.
Looking forward to it. So welcome back to our deep dive into Cha-Cha's Thanksgiving message.
I'm ready for more.
We've learned so much about her approach to gratitude and faith,
Yeah, and this time I want to focus on something that really stuck with me. It's how she talks about finding strength and hope even when things are tough. It just feels so relevant right now with everything going on in the world.
Yeah, it's a big part of her message. And the way she does it, it's so skillful.
Right.
She doesn't pretend life is always easy, which is, refreshing.
Totally. It makes her seem more, authentic.
Right. She understands that people watching are dealing with stuff,
Yeah.
maybe personal struggles or even, doubts about their faith.
And so many inspirational messages, they just ignore the hard stuff.
Exactly.
But she actually says, right in the script, even if you're facing tough times or challenges, know that you are not alone.
It's like she's creating this safe space,
Yeah.
to be vulnerable.
And by acknowledging the hard stuff, it makes her message of hope even more.
Powerful.
Yeah. It's not about ignoring the pain, but about finding the strength to, keep going.
Yes, exactly.
So how does she connect that resilience to gratitude? Because it seems kind of weird to be grateful when everything's falling apart.
What's actually a really interesting psychological approach,
Okay.
Even when things are rough, research shows that finding things to be grateful for can, change your whole perspective.
So it's not about denying the negative, but about focusing on,
Yeah, the good stuff.
the silver linings.
Yeah.
Even if they're small.
Exactly. And she links that back to faith. She's saying even when you don't understand why you're going through something, be grateful for God's presence. Be grateful that you're not alone.
It reminds me of that serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Oh, yeah.
It's about finding peace when everything's chaotic.
It's hard.
Yeah, so hard.
And that's where Cha-Cha's message of finding strength and faith,
Yeah.
it gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
For her audience, it's more than just a nice thought. It's a belief that helps them make sense of suffering. Trusting that even when it's dark, there's a bigger plan.
It's like she's giving them both, a psychological tools and this spiritual framework.
Exactly.
And it seems to really resonate with them.
It does. And
Right.
it's not just about individual resilience either.
Yes.
She brings it back to Thanksgiving, reminding people that it's not just about the food.
Right.
It's about acknowledging that we're all connected, that we depend on something bigger than ourselves.
It's like she's weaving together all these things: strength, faith, community,
Yes.
even national identity, all around this idea of gratitude.
She's really good at it, taking these complex ideas
Yeah.
and making them relatable, using personal stories, those universal experiences.
Okay, so we've talked about how she positions gratitude as a source of resilience. But what are the specific techniques she uses? Does she just say, be more grateful?
Oh, it's way more nuanced than that. She uses all these rhetorical devices.
Yeah.
One is this idea of small blessings.
Yeah, I noticed.
She keeps telling people to appreciate those everyday moments of joy.
Right, even if your world is falling apart, there's still beauty in a cup of coffee, a sunset.
Yes, or a kind word from someone.
It makes gratitude seem more, achievable.
Right. Not this big abstract thing, but something you can actually do every day.
even when you're struggling.
It's like she's giving people permission to be happy about the little things.
Yeah.
To find joy in the simple stuff, even when big things are going wrong.
And that's so important, especially in a world that's always focused on, like,
Yeah.
achievement.
Having more stuff.
It's a reminder that happiness isn't always about what you have, but about how you see what you have.
It's like she's redefining success.
Totally. From having it all to appreciating what you have.
Which is way more, like, sustainable.
And fulfilling. Yeah. And then there's that other technique. What is it?
Reframing.
The reframing.
Right.
Right. Taking negative experiences and turning them into, like,
Opportunities.
yeah, opportunities for growth, for getting closer to God.
Like when she talked about how busy life is.
Oh, yeah.
She says it's easy to get caught up in all that. But then she says that busyness, it's actually a chance to practice mindfulness,
Okay.
to be more intentional about choosing gratitude.
To connect with God through prayer.
Exactly. It's brilliant because instead of telling people to, like, slow down,
Right, which is impossible.
she's saying, hey, I get that you're busy, but here's how you can still make gratitude a part of your life.
It feels more empowering.
Right. And it shows that she really gets her audience.
Yeah.
She knows they have limitations.
Yeah.
She's not saying, do this one thing and you'll be fixed.
It's more like, here's a framework, adapt it to your own life.
Find what works for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of respect in that approach.
And that's why it works. It's not preaching, it's guidance. Like a wise friend, sharing her experience, but trusting you to find your own way.
Okay, so let's talk about gratitude as a spiritual practice.
What?
How does she tie that into resilience?
Well, she keeps saying that gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's an action, a choice you make. Like, choose to be thankful. Actively practice gratitude.
So it's not about waiting for the feeling to just, like,
Appear?
yeah, but making a conscious effort to, like, shift your focus, even when you don't feel grateful.
And that connects to her audience's understanding of faith.
Okay.
Faith isn't just about what you believe, it's about what you do.
Right.
So gratitude becomes this spiritual discipline, a way to get closer to God.
Like, make time for gratitude just like you make time for prayer.
Yes. And she also connects gratitude to ideas like grace and abundance. Being grateful for God's grace, even when we mess up.
Right.
It makes us more humble, more dependent on God.
And seeing all the blessings, even the small ones.
Yes. It makes us more trusting.
It all ties together so well.
She's really good at that, weaving together all these different threads, psychological, spiritual, practical.
To create this, like, tapestry of resilience.
She's a master communicator,
Yeah.
She really understands her audience.
It's amazing what she does with just one Thanksgiving message.
It really is. And I'm even more curious now to see her other videos.
Me too.
Huh.
But before we get sidetracked, there's one more thing about her resilience message I want to explore. It's the role of community.
Oh, that's a good one. It's everywhere in her message, even if she doesn't say it directly.
Yeah, she talks about leaning on each other, finding strength in shared experiences. She even says, reach out to loved ones, your church community or support groups. Remember, you are not alone.
It's like she's creating this safety net.
Right.
You don't have to go through tough times alone.
And that's so important, especially for people of faith.
Absolutely. Community is a huge part of Christianity, It's about finding support, encouragement, being accountable to each other.
So when she tells them to lean on their community, she's tapping into something really deep for them.
Yes, and she's also cleverly, like, aligning herself with that community.
Okay.
By creating this space where people feel understood.
Yeah.
She becomes the leader, the trusted guide.
Smart.
It's brilliant. She's not just talking. She's building a movement.
Around these values of gratitude, faith, resilience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so powerful. It's not just about changing yourself.
Yeah.
It's about making the world a better place.
This has been so insightful.
It really has.
We've uncovered so much about Chacha's message of resilience.
So much depth.
But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on one more thing before we move on.
Okay.
It's how she balances, like, personal vulnerability with spiritual authority.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is interesting, right?
Yeah. On one hand, she's relatable. She shares her struggles. But then she's also the spiritual leader offering guidance.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah. How does she do it without seeming fake or preachy? I think she uses those personal stories really strategically. It's not about bragging or getting sympathy.
Right.
It's about connecting with people, showing them she's been there too.
So she builds credibility by being vulnerable.
Yes. Showing that she's not perfect, that she's also on this journey.
And then she can transition into that spiritual guide role.
Exactly.
It's like she's saying, hey, I've been where you are, I get it, but I've learned some things that might help you.
And it works because it's real. It's not just about ideas, it's about lived experience.
Yeah, that messy, imperfect journey of faith and resilience.
This has been such a great conversation.
It has. We went from a Thanksgiving message to, like, the core of what it means to be human.
I know, right?
But I think we've been going deep for a while now.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe our listeners need a break.
Good idea.
We'll be back soon for the last part of our deep dive. We'll explore the bigger implications of Cha-Cha's message,
Right.
how it impacts her audience, and beyond.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Cha-Cha's world. We've talked about her Thanksgiving message, how she approaches gratitude, and that whole idea of resilience. But now I want to, like, zoom out.
Right.
Like, look at the bigger picture.
I'm listening.
We talked about how her message connects with her audience, people who share her faith.
Right.
But I wonder, how universal is this message, really? Can it speak to people who, like, come from different backgrounds, different beliefs?
That's a great question. Because on the surface, yeah, it seems pretty specific to a Christian worldview. But there's something deeper there. That need for connection, for meaning.
Yeah.
Especially when things are tough. That's universal.
Right. Even if you don't, like, agree with all their religious stuff,
Uh-huh.
the idea of finding strength in gratitude, in something bigger than yourself, that resonates with everyone.
Exactly. It's like a blueprint for resilience.
Okay.
You can adapt it to fit your own beliefs.
Like, faith might be your anchor,
Yeah.
but it could be something else, right?
It could be family, community,
Love of nature.
whatever works for you.
Right.
The principle is still the same.
It's like she's saying, here's the toolbox.
Right.
You pick the tools you need, and that's gotta help her reach more people.
Oh, definitely.
Imagine someone who's, like, questioning their faith, or someone from a different religion.
They might feel excluded at first,
Right.
but then she's like, find your own path. Choose what works for you.
It's an invitation.
Yes, not a set of rules.
And that's so important today.
Totally. The world feels so divided.
Right.
It's like she's offering something different, something positive.
By focusing on gratitude, on what we share, she's creating space for unity, for understanding.
And it's not just like a nice thought. There's research showing that gratitude leads to more empathy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, more compassion, more willingness to help others.
So it's not just about feeling good personally.
It's about making society better.
But could there be, like, a downside to this kind of message?
That's a good point.
What about, like, toxic positivity, where you feel like you have to be grateful all the time,
Right.
even when you're hurting?
I got to be careful about that. Gratitude is powerful, but it's not like a magic solution.
Yeah.
We've got to let ourselves feel the negative stuff too. Grief, anger, all of it.
It's about balance, right?
Exactly.
Recognizing that life is both good and bad.
And that it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Yeah, gratitude isn't always easy.
Especially when things are tough,
It's about choosing to see the good, even when it's hard.
trusting that it's still there.
And Cha-Cha kind of hints at that.
Yeah.
She knows life is hard, but she wants people to hold on to hope, to find strength.
To keep practicing gratitude.
Resilience isn't about being happy all the time.
It's about weathering the storms
Learning and growing.
and keeping going, even when you don't know what's next.
I love that. Now, what about her call to action? She doesn't just want people to listen.
Right. She wants them to do something.
Subscribe, share her message, make gratitude a part of their lives.
It's about building a movement,
A community of people committed to living gratefully.
And that's where the real impact is. It's not just about you, it's about spreading that positivity outward,
To your family, your community, the whole world.
inspiring people to be the change they want to see.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We went from a simple Thanksgiving message to, like, a whole philosophy of life.
The power of gratitude is pretty amazing.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay.
Take what you've learned today and think about how you can bring more gratitude into your own life.
Start small. Find one thing each day to be grateful for.
Tell someone you appreciate them.
And remember, even when things are tough,
There's always something to be thankful for. Always a reason to hope. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
it's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those hearts